Welcome, everyone. It is now Tuesday. I have a lovely guest. It's Shiraz Baboo. Welcome to the show. Shiraz, did I say your name properly?
Shiraz Baboo. Yeah.
Baboo.
Thank
Okay.
you, Ree. It's great to be here.
Welcome. And I love saying your name because it reminds me of my favorite red wine, Shiraz.
Okay.
Although I don't do any more drinking, I'm on this whole thing of no alcohol for a little while, just for my health, why my goal benefit for this year for 2025. So
Nice.
today's topic, thank you. Today's topic is on reality addiction. So welcome to Nothing Less Than Extraordinary Production. It's all about relationship and all. And Shiraz, one of the things I really enjoy about him, and I've seen him in so many different networking, but I always wanted to go up to you and say something, but there was always so many people, and then like people interrupt, and it's like
Yep.
at this event at the Soulful Retreat, I was like, I gotta speak to Shiraz. And then at the very, very end, I just came and gave you a little hug and took a photo and like, let's exchange number, and then you're on my podcast, so it's amazing.
That's how it works. Just take the action.
You'll get to know Shiraz and you'll see he has done a lot of things, and I want you to discover what he's capable of doing. And this, we're going to really get into that in just a bit. So let me do an intro. So Shiraz Baboo is a multi-award winning author, an international speaker, and a reality interventionist, which he'll explain what that is in just a bit. He is known for helping people to rewrite their reality to overcoming challenges in their lives. Shiraz has helped thousands of people to overcome illness, poverty, unconsciously addicted struggle. Overall, he is renowned personality in the area of reality addiction. And his book, How to Rewrite Reality, has changed lives across the globe. So you're gonna hear amazing thing and his nugget of gold. I can't wait to dive into it. Like I'm salivating right now, Shiraz. So let's just first start with get letting people get to know you, and then we'll dive into the reality addiction and what you do. So tell us a little bit about what that looked like for Shiraz when he was growing up. Where were you born and what did that look like?
Oh, I was born in Durban, South Africa,
Okay.
and we moved to Canada when I was 3 years old. So I was raised in the Toronto area.
Hoo-hoo to our Canadian fella.
And I had a great childhood. Everything went fairly well for me, up until I got into university when I got rheumatoid arthritis at the age of 22.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I suffered with arthritis for the next 18 years.
Mm.
So it was in every joint in my body. There was a lot of pain. My cartilage deteriorated away. My bones were deteriorating, and it just became my life after like at the time it hit, I was studying to be a doctor and I was a bodybuilder.
Mm.
And suddenly I had to drop out of university. I spent a lot of time lying in bed in pain. And, and I did everything you need to do to try to stop that from happening. Right. And people may not have gone through like physical pain like this, but if you've got your life planned out, you know what you're gonna do, and then suddenly all that's taken away from you, you
Mm.
know how it feels. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I tried medication, that didn't work. I tried diet supplements, that didn't work. So I started seeing what else is possible, and meditation, yoga, magnets, acupuncture, and it's not like trying it for a little while. It's 18 years, so I'm trying things for 6 months, a year at a time, and getting no results. And finally, I found out about this program in India,
Mm-hmm.
called Combined Therapy. And I went over to India for this program, and I was working with this guy, and because it was India, I thought it was going to be some sort of energy healing, some Reiki kind of thing. But he just talked to me
Mm.
for weeks about my life. And it was like being with a psychiatrist, only he never tried to solve anything. He just kept gathering all this information, figure out who I am, what I'm all about. And at the end, he says, well, you believe you're responsible for everyone in your life. And I'm like, no, I don't. And he said, no, I know you don't think you do, but from everything you've told me, you've created this belief that you need to be responsible for everyone. and it's been there since childhood.
Mm,
I'm like, okay, I know I'm a responsible guy. I'm always a designated driver. I make sure my friends are taking care of everything, but I don't think I'm responsible for everyone. And even if I am, what's that got to do with arthritis? There's no
mm,
connection there.
mm-hmm,
And he said, well, you don't want to be responsible for everyone. That's too much work. I said, yeah, of course. And if you're lying in bed in pain, you don't have to be responsible for anyone. You don't have to feel guilty about it. Your arthritis isn't your problem, it's your solution.
mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what? That's messed up. Why would I do that to myself?
Mm,
He goes, but most chronic illnesses are solutions for problems people don't realize they have.
mm,
So I thought about it. And I said, okay, wait. If what you're saying is true, then all I have to do is say I'm not going to be responsible for anyone else but me,
mm,
and the arthritis should just go away. And like, I'm not really believing it, but I'm just following the thread of logic, right?
mm-hmm,
And he looked at me and goes, yeah, if you actually believe it deep down in your heart that you don't need to be responsible for anyone else, you don't need the arthritis. So I said, fine, I'm not going to be responsible for anyone else but me.
mm-hmm.
And you know what happened in that moment, Ree? Nothing. Okay. I'm like, well, okay, that's there. I said it. Nothing happened. However, I woke up the next morning and there was no pain. There was no inflammation. I had more mobility and I could even breathe easier. So I'm freaking out because it's been 18 years of trying everything and
Mm-hmm.
nothing works. And this guy says, stop being responsible. And the arthritis goes away.
Wow.
Right. And now, to be clear, the damage done to my body was still there. It didn't magically disappear, but
Mm,
all the symptoms of arthritis left.
mm,
And I was just like reeling from, oh my God, this is crazy. But I started to research this.
mm-hmm,
I found out this isn't just about illness. This is about everything.
mm,
So every consistent problem you have in your life
mm-hmm,
is the solution for an emotional problem you're not looking at. And when you get that, when you figure it out, it's all about the emotions, it's a game changer. So, for instance, with my jobs, I've always made about $100,000 a year,
mm-hmm,
which is a nice salary.
mm-hmm,
However, when you're trying to make a lot more and you can't get there, it
mm-hmm,
becomes really frustrating.
mm-hmm,
I'm
mm-hmm,
trying to figure out what am I doing wrong because I've had coaches and I've done all sorts of training and I should be able to make a lot more money, but I couldn't. So then I went to the well, what's the emotional problem that this is solving? And I worked with a coach, and it turned out that when I was a teenager, my friends and my family are like, Shiraz, you're a smart guy, you're a creative guy. We have zero doubt that you'll be making millions of dollars. And I'm like, yes, that sounds great. And yeah, and you'll have the house on the beach that you want, you'll be traveling the world. And I'm like, yes, this sounds amazing. And then they said, and then we get to come hang out with you at your house. We get to travel with you. It's going to be one big party. And I'm like, oh, they're going to leech off me.
mm-hmm.
They're all going to hang out at my house when I, even if I don't want them to, they're going to force themselves on me when I travel. No, not. And my mind came up with this thought that $100,000 is high enough that we can live comfortably, but
Mm,
not so high that suddenly everyone's going to descend and take advantage of the
mhm,
money.
mhm.
And when I let that belief go, I did $200,000 the next year. And the year after that, I did $1 million in sales.
Oh, I'm so wow.
All held in because of that belief.
But how many people actually go through that belief? Well, you said two very powerful thing is that I thought arthritis was in the Asian culture, so I know that I have like low arthritis and stuff. And when you said just stop being responsible for everyone, I'm like, oh, isn't that the story of my life? I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna practice this. Like, what do I gotta lose, Shiraz? So that's great. But also about with regards to money, the money blockage is that, like you said, all these people, and I knew when I was a child, like since I was very, very young, people are like, Ree, you're gonna end up like making millions and you're gonna help people and you do all these things. And then I get into my 30s and I was like, nowhere to be found. I'm not even close to anything that, you know. And so then I actually started changing and kind of reframing things, but kind of like what you said, there is a limiting belief of something that you associate when you're younger. I don't know if that's the one for me though, because I would hang around with people and want to take them, but there is always that underlying kind of like this attachment of what if I make it big and then people are gonna latch off of me? Like, I don't want that. Yuck.
No, if you don't
Mhm.
want that, then your mind says, "Don't worry, I got you covered. We'll make sure it never happens."
It's so
Right?
true. All
And,
linked to
and
an emotion.
all like to emotion. And I've worked with a lot of people on this. And when I talk to them about making money, they're like, it's going to be amazing. And I'll get to do this and I'll get to do this. And I'm like, how are people going to interact with you? Oh, they might get jealous. I don't want people being jealous of me.
Mm,
Oh, they might start asking me for money. I don't want to have those conversations.
mm.
Oh my God, how much taxes am I going to pay? Oh, I don't want to pay taxes. And they'll start listing all these reasons not to have money.
Right, right.
And yeah, and then your subconscious is there to protect you.
Mm-hmm,
It will do everything it can to protect you, including kill you.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Right?
mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
so that's why you don't make the money you want, or you are sick, or your relationships don't work. It's all protection. And you just got to figure out what you're being protected from. And most of the times when you find out what you're being protected, you're like, I don't need to be protected. I can just make a different decision.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Then your reality changes.
I love it. It all comes down to one decision. So talk to me about an example since we're on relationship. I'm sure you have encountered clients that's actually gone through this process attached to an emotion or something that's happened to them with regards to relationship that held them back. Can you give like one or two example in a client's where they're like, oof, that's an epiphany. I never thought that was the reason.
There was a very interesting one, and so it's not going to be a common one out there, but it was just it struck me when it happened because I was working with a guy that was his business had plateaued. It just wasn't making any more money.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, it was enough that he could live fairly well. His wife was fine, and um, and when we started working, I said, well, what would happen if you made a lot more money if your business doubled its revenue? And he said he thought about it for a while, and he goes, I wouldn't have any excuses. And I'm like, excuses for what? He said, I actually want to get a divorce.
Ah,
And I'm afraid to tell my wife. And if I had a lot more money, I could afford to get the divorce.
mm,
And I don't want to break her heart because it's not that she's done anything wrong. I'm just fallen out of love with her. And so he was keeping his income at a rate so that he didn't hurt his wife.
mm,
He loved, but wasn't in love with.
mhm.
And once we let that go, he started to make more money. And then he had to, he didn't have to, but he made that decision. Well, let's start the divorce proceedings. Right. And it was a crazy kind of thing because I've seen people that want to get out of divorce, but it's usually like, I don't know how to get out. I want to get out badly. But he was so compassionate about his wife and just not in love with her and just like, oh my God. And so you created a little trap for yourself.
Oh, oh
Right.
my God. But that seems like just an off like situation, but it is could be more common than we think, right?
Yeah.
And for those who actually are in like I often get like my clients when I'm working with them, they would say all the time, I want love. I want to be able to find true love. I want to be able to come home to somebody who I can share my world and my happiness to. But then they do all of these different things like unconsciously
Yep.
and I understand logically they don't understand why they would actually do that, but they are the one putting the obstacle in their own path.
Yes.
And but they're saying, "But I want it. But I want." I'm like, "But don't you see? You keep blocking yourself."
Yeah. So they don't really want it. They just and there's different reasons why they don't want it. One of the most common things I found is just for the sake of being right.
Mm,
Right. And so it's like my partners always cheat on me. And then another partner cheats. And like, see, there it is again. Like, why can't I find someone that doesn't cheat on? The problem here is that when your partner cheats on you, you get to be right. When you get to be right, you get a hit of dopamine.
Yeah.
And you create, and this is where the reality intervention comes in, you create a dopamine addiction
Hmm.
every time your partner cheats on you. So you have to keep finding new partners that you unconsciously know will cheat on you so that they can do it and you can get your fix and keep going to the next partner.
Hmm.
And so you're stuck in an addiction you don't even realize you're in there.
Yeah.
And if you find someone that doesn't cheat on you, you're not getting your fix of dopamine. You
Hmm.
will find the relationship unsatisfying and you'll find a way to break up,
Hmm.
only to get into a relationship with someone that cheats and then you get your fix. And while you're frustrated, you're still getting your addiction.
Yeah.
So,
But that is very true. It's the addiction that we don't even see. Is like, why do you stay stuck in the same situation over and over? Because there is actually a payoff. And
yeah,
it's that addiction that you consciously or unconsciously is constantly repeating the pattern over and over again because
yeah,
something is feeding you and you feel good about it, even though you say, I don't want it, but
yeah,
you do everything to attract it.
yes. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's just a match for what you grew up with. So I was just working with someone recently, and she always ended up in abusive relationships.
Hmm.
So we looked at what was going on there. And in her childhood, her mom was abusive to her, her brother was abusive to her. And as a child, you're trying to figure out what love looks like, and you just use what's available around you. It's like, oh, this must be what love looks like. It's abuse.
Yeah.
So now she's in relationships, and when guys are abusive to her, her subconscious is saying, see, they love you.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then she would get out of it because she is smart enough logically that's like, I'm not going to stick around with someone that's abusive. And she'd just get into another abusive relationship.
Hmm.
And then she'd get into a relationship where the person wasn't abusive. And she's like, I'm just not feeling it. Right. Because her mind is like, he doesn't love you. He's not doing anything to prove he loves you.
Yeah.
It's abuse.
It's
Get
that
out.
constant, that dopamine hit, the ups and
Yeah.
downs, the chaos, the drama, the
Yep.
addiction of it all. Hmm.
So, yeah. So we
Yeah.
worked on clearing that out of her
Mhm.
life so that she could find an amazing relationship.
Yeah. And just to emphasize on that point, because I actually gone through it in my own personal life, that same addiction, being actually in a toxic relationship that was actually unhealthy. So when I actually wanted to shift the pattern, because I work in the field, study in social work, and done all of that stuff, and work with battered women and all of these things, all of the patterns, the cycle that I know, and then found myself in it. It is extremely, you feel guilt, you feel shame. There's a lot of pride that goes into that. I always said it's somebody else's story, but not mine.
Mhm.
Until you find yourself in it, right? And you're like, oh, okay. Then you have to go through humble kudo and kind of just raise yourself slowly back up and go, there's a reason for this journey and what's the lesson behind it. So when I actually started stopping the addiction at one point, and thank God I actually had the support of my little sister, even though she passed away. Um, she speaks to me like I have these premonitions and sixth sense. So as crazy as that sound, it has served me well in my life. And so she came into my life, and I met this partner of mine. He was super kind, a gentleman, very sweet. And I'm looking at him going, he's not 6 foot tall. He doesn't have the broad shoulder. He doesn't have the thing that my ex used to have. And this is a guy that didn't treat me well. And here I am comparing to my ex partner.
Mhm.
And I thought to myself, and my sister kind of kicked me in the ass, and she's like, sis, do you truly want to be happy, or do you want to be addicted to your toxic relationship? And so when she asked me that question, and trust me, we keep each other very accountable. She'll kick my ass whenever. So I do
Okay.
the same back to her. So I was like, ah, wow, that's a really harsh one, you know? And I actually had to pause because I was about to refuse a second date to this. I said, you know, what was the excuse that I said that I didn't want to date this person? I said,
Mhm.
he's just too nice for me. I can't do this. It's just too good.
You don't want someone that's
And
nice to
I'm
you.
like one of
Mhm.
those people is like, nice guys should end up first, not last, like the Jim
Yep.
Carrey, the Mask movie, right? Like the
Yeah.
nice guys should be first. Why do they always have to be last? And here I am going against my philosophy, my value of good guys ending up first, and I'm about to reject this guy because he was just too nice.
Hmm.
So to your point, I changed that. And because my sister kind of woke me up and I said, okay, I agreed to go on a second date and we had a fantastic relationship. Unfortunately, that relationship, it was a very fairy tale for 2 years and stuff. But sometimes things happen. It led me to my current partner, my third partner right now. So I am grateful from that relationship. There was still a residue of some toxicity that kind of but it showed me that I was able to change the pattern and there was something to learn out of there. So I totally agree and I see what you're saying when it comes to addiction to your reality.
Yeah.
hmm So talk to me about how you, when you actually discover this, what made you realize like, oh my God, I got a gift in this and there's something I need to share with people so that I can help them more to be able to come out of their obstacle and their challenges.
Actually, that didn't happen. So I know that's what happens to a lot of people. I've got a gift and I got to share it. What actually happened with me was I was practicing various techniques, learning modalities,
hmm
and just to see how I could create change. And I was practicing on my friends and my family, and ultimately I wanted to use the techniques to create even more change for myself.
hmm
And then one of my friends, Jessica, she goes, Shiraz, people will pay you for this. And I'm like, no, this is just a hobby. It's just a thing I'm doing. I didn't know, but there's a whole world of coaching and stuff like that. And I'm just doing this stuff. And she's like, Shiraz, people will pay you for this. So I made a bet. And I said, I bet you they won't. Right. And
Oh.
I'm like, and I said, and I'm not going to mess around because, if it's like they'll pay me $25 for a shift, who cares?
Mhm,
$100 an hour. Let's see if
mhm,
people pay.
mhm.
And people started paying. Right. And oh my God, this is a business. And and so I started doing that. And then I just started falling in love with the changes that people
Mhm.
and I decided to go full in on the business. I quit my other, well, I didn't quit my other job. I made sure I got fired from my other job with a big severance package so that I could fund the so I could fund this new business. And just part of the things about being able to shift reality. It's you get these little perks in there.
Yes.
And yeah, and then I started doing this, and it's just been, it's been 10 years. Thousands of lives affected. I just love seeing the transformations. Uh,
hmm
I focus mainly on helping women to create a huge impact and the money that comes along with it.
hmm
And while that is my focus is on more of the career and the impact, things happen along the way. So relationships get repaired. One of my clients, her relationship with the husband is the best it's ever been in their entire marriage.
hmm
People have been cured of illnesses because the illness was keeping them from succeeding in business. So
hmm
got rid of the blocks, the illness just dropped off. Although
hmm
I don't advertise myself as a healer because I don't want to focus just on illness. I want to focus on women having impact.
Yeah.
And it's all these situations where they were basically playing safe and they had gotten addicted to the situation. And the thing is, this is something a lot of people don't get because they've experienced it, but they don't realize the reason. Is sometimes you go and you go through a course or you go to a retreat and you
hmm
have a major breakthrough, right? And your life is just different. But after a few weeks or a few months, you lose it.
hmm hmm
You were just in withdrawal.
hmm
So the breakthrough did work, but you didn't allow for the fact that your body's going to go into withdrawal because it's a physical addiction and bring
hmm
you back to where you were. And it takes 6 months on average for someone to get out of addiction, even if the changes start right away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's one of the things I do is when we start creating these changes, we keep coming back and making sure you're out of the addiction. We may have to shift the same belief over and over and over. That's part of the process, and a lot of people don't realize that's part of the process.
hmm
And once you include that, you get permanent results.
hmm
And here's the other thing is getting out of addiction has to be replaced with a new addiction,
Absolutely.
right? And so if you just get out of the addiction, circumstance will replace you with the new addiction, but it's better if you intentionally swap addictions.
hmm So
So
do you
for
replace the addiction for something more positive?
so for instance, I used to be addicted to working hard.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's some people that grow up, it's like you have to work hard to succeed, and it's more of like a forced thing. But for me,
Yeah.
it's like I can work harder than anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I will pull all-nighters when no one else wants to. Like you watch how hard. And so there was all this pride. There's, definitely getting hits of dopamine and
Yes.
oxytocin. It's just like, then one day I realized you're burning yourself out, right?
I can't
You're working
sustain
so
this.
hard. Yeah. So this needs to stop. And I thought, what if I got my fix from
Mm,
how easily things get done for me? And
mm,
not even me doing the things getting done for me.
mm-hmm,
So when I decided that's going to be the new addiction, I started looking for evidence of that showing up in my life.
mm-hmm.
And once you start to see the evidence, it anchors in the new addiction. And so, I mean, there was one time where I would we were planning on going to an event in Dallas. There was a bunch of us going. The hotel was really, really expensive.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, now I got to figure out how to bring the cost down. Am I going to stay at a different hotel? And what are the options? And then one of my friends calls up and she goes, I was on this website. They had a discount for the hotel. You can get in for like half price. Do you want to be my roommate? And they will get it down to a quarter of the price. And that's a completely reasonable amount. And I'm like, oh, hell yes, let's do that. And so it got done. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what was funny is just when they were hanging up, they said, wait a second, you've got that new belief that everything gets done for you. And I'm the
Mm-hmm.
one doing it. I don't like this. Right? And I'm like, you can get the same belief. I'm happy with the way things are going. And so right now in my life, so many things just get done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it feels so amazing. Today, actually, I was trying to figure out how to solve an issue with a client because their payments weren't going through. And then they sent me an email saying, I fixed it. And I'm like, cool. I won't do anything else.
I love those lines because they're so true. It's almost like you surrender with the universe. I don't know how you would call that,
Mhm.
but same thing as you is once I've learned to let go and release and just trust the process. Like I was looking like my ex-husband is supposed to take my kid to the doctor's appointment this Wednesday. And he's supposed to call and it's nearly impossible to reach them. And just for a fluke of it, I need to take an appointment as well with my doctor. And just like that, because I just trust, I didn't really make a big case out of it. He said, I can't make it to the, I'm like, no problem, cancel it, take another appointment. Anyway, do whatever you got to do. I just didn't give in his negative energy and I just kind of let it go. And then what do I get? A text, bing, like here is the reminder for your daughter's appointment and stuff. And then I could just on there say, please cancel the appointment, reschedule for a new appointment. And by the way, could you actually schedule me in? So it's like everything just flawlessly happens. And the same thing with my luggage. Like, I was like, my luggage got damaged and I just wanted a new luggage. I just bought this luggage, but I didn't think through like luggage in plastic can get damaged really easily. And
Mhm.
so I said, I want a new luggage. And then next thing I know, I'm filling out this form and they're like, ta-da! You can choose any luggage you want. It's like,
Right?
wow, this is amazing. So I get what you're saying. It really does. And it's so funny. People think, oh no, it has to be so complicated. But when you truly believe in something and it feels aligned. I don't know how it works. I just know that I can call things in and it has to feel like solely aligned and it has to come from a very pure heart. There's no need for greed for this. It's just I ask the universe and just know that in the perfect timing it will show up the way it has to show up and I trust it. It has been magical in working in this way. And I kind of feel that way meeting you as well. I never really said anything much to you though, Shiraz. I've always said, I gotta meet this guy. I don't really know anything about his energy, but he's so quiet and he's so humble. And I really want to get to know what he does. And so I'm so happy that we're here now, sharing it live to all of the audience that are going to benefit from what you're sharing today.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And the most amazing thing, and you're like making a bet, nobody's going to pay for it. Shiraz, people are paying for your service. I want to be able to take advantage of this, Shiraz. So talk to me about I want people to see in real live right now of what you do. So one of the things I want to be able to tackle, and then I want to figure it out because I have an idea what that is. So one of the things that is a big, I was able to track in love, and that's great. And I'm very grateful for the life that I lead. It's a very happy and joyful life, and but also that's the personality that I have, a very bubbly and very energetic from a pure heart, and I want to make an impact in the world. So this is why I do this podcast as a legacy to highlight as many life stories as possible. And I'm so happy you're a part of that. So let's talk to me about somebody who may be struggling with regards to financial blockage. So I'll take an example. If I look back from what you had said, I've always believed in abundance and I always believe I can attract it. And I already know that I'll be a millionaire. I already told my boyfriend about it. I'm not worried about those kind of thing. So when the timing comes right. So this is one thing that holds me when I think about making money and making an impact. I do try to tell myself and reaffirm that it is your responsibility to make more money because that's how you impact the world. The person that you are will expand even more. If you're a generous person, it will show up even more. And I want to make people's dream come true. But the hidden thing that links into the emotion why I get scared about making money is two things. My grandfather is a monk, and for the longest time, I've always associated money as something evil because as a monk, you cannot ask for money, you cannot charge for the services that you do. So that is one of them. And the second thing that I worry about is I don't want to be somebody else. I want to be I want to be the generous, kind person who's willing to make an impact. And I don't want money to change and get through my mind and become like, think she's all this and that. So that is what I think is the limiting belief that keeps me stuck. So what would you say to a person who may be going through something along that line?
What would I say, or do you want to work on this right now?
Yes, right, exactly. That's what I meant.
Okay,
Yeah.
we can work on this right now. Okay, so what happens is when I work with people, I can tell when your conscious beliefs match your unconscious beliefs.
Hmm.
So we're going to have a conversation about this, and whenever your conscious and unconscious beliefs don't match, I'm going to say that's not coming up true.
Okay.
So from there, we're going to look for the story that's running in your subconscious, and it could be more than one,
Okay.
and that's causing you to create this reality. When
Hmm.
we get to it, I'm going to say, are you willing to step out of that story?
Okay.
Okay. And if you're willing, just say yes. And it's not the yes, sure, let's do it. It's yes, I'm done with that story. It's got to be this adamant intention of it's over.
Okay.
That's what's got to go into that yes.
Okay.
Because what I do is I guide you to the belief that needs to be shifted, and then you have to shift the belief. I can't
Got
shift
it.
it for you. Now, when that happens, and this is an indicator that things are going well,
Okay.
is some reason, I don't know why, but I yawn and cough when people shift. Okay. So just be
That's
prepared.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you've done this kind of work before, you'll know what it feels like in your body. Most common things is for yawning or a feeling of energy and a release. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, but anything could happen. So, so the first one was that money is money evil?
Evil. Yeah.
So do you believe that money is evil?
No, not anymore. But that's something that
Okay.
my
That's
yeah.
not coming up true.
Oh no?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So, and it was your grandfather, your great grandfather,
Yes, my grandfather. Yeah.
your grandfather. Did your grandfather believe that money is evil?
I don't know that he believed money is evil because I never really met him, just from the stories that my dad tells me
Okay.
that he couldn't charge and couldn't accept money.
Okay. So
Mhm.
then you created a story that for those monks, money is evil.
Yes.
And really for monks, it's not that they believe money is evil. They just don't want to get into a world of attachment,
Right.
right? So when you're working to be pure of mind and body, you let go of all attachments, and money often creates attachment. It doesn't have to,
Hmm.
it can. So they're just getting rid of all distractions.
Right.
So are you willing to step out of the story you created about your grandfather that money is evil?
Yes.
Do you need to honor your grandfather by not attracting lots of money?
Yes.
Okay, that's coming up true. Are you willing to step out of that story?
I think so. I think he'd be proud.
Okay, I think so is not really a yes. Okay.
So yes,
So
grandfather.
yeah, so you can completely stay in honor of your grandfather with or without money.
Hmm.
You can honor the person he was and take money out of the equation.
Hmm.
So are you willing to step out of the story that you have to, in order to honor your grandfather, you have to push away money?
Yes.
Right. And this is actually very common. I've seen people that don't want to make money easily and quickly because their parents work so hard to put food on the table that it felt like, oh, I'm disrespecting them if I just do it easy. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, I think your parents want you to have a lot of money. So, and
Yeah.
especially if they're still around and then you can share it with them, they're going to be even happier. So just make the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Will money change who you are?
No.
Okay, so that's not entirely true either. So we see changes that happen to people with money.
Hmm.
And what happens is the more money you have, the more freedom you have to be you.
Yeah.
So if you're a good person, you're going to be an amazing person. But if
Yeah.
you were a jerk, you're going to be a total jerk. Right? You
Tell me
just got
about
this
it.
freedom.
Yeah.
And what happens is we see people doing bad things with money on the news
Mm-hmm.
because the news is skewed to the bad things. The people
Mm-hmm.
that are making money and doing wonderful things, that's pretty much not newsworthy most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all these people out there that have made money that are helping all sorts of people, and you just don't see it because they actually did a test. They started having good news stations,
Yeah.
and the ratings tanked. No one wanted to watch that. Everyone's programmed to look for the bad stuff, the drama, the catastrophes. Yeah, so that's why we get what we get on the news because they tested it, and this is what people want to watch. It's kind of weird.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Oh, sad.
So that's why you hear all these stories about like rich people screwing over poor people,
Mm-hmm.
because people want the drama and the intrigue and thing. But then that creates the belief that if I'm rich, I'll screw over poor people. So I got to make sure I don't do that. And your mind says, don't worry, we just won't make money. Problem
Mm-hmm.
solved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you willing to step out of the story that you have to limit your income so you don't change in a bad way?
Yes.
And this does go into the second thing you talked about is who are you going to be when you create success?
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of times what happens is we have this belief that when I become successful, suddenly all eyes are on me and what am I going to be like? And do I have to be a role model for people? Do I have to watch everything I say? And what are people going to expect? And can I live up to all those expectations? And that's just so much pressure.
Yeah.
So your mind says, I don't want to go through that pressure. Let's just keep the money low. Let's keep the visibility low, right? Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
goes for the simplest solutions, problem solved, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you get that by being you, being authentically you,
Yeah.
causes you to become more visible, causes you to become more attractive, and causes you to have more success, then if you create that success and then you think, now I have to live up to being a role model and I have to all this pressure, you're no longer being you anymore.
Yeah.
So the best way to continue creating success, creating an impact, creating wealth is just keep being you and screw whatever anyone thinks, what anyone expects, all that, because you're just doing what you did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So are you willing to step out of the story that if you become very successful, you have to stop being you?
Yes. I like being me.
Oh. And actually, I forgot to mention, if you're playing along at home, you can say yes when Reese says yes, and it's going to shift for you too, because you're the one doing the work.
Yes, I like that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How does that feel? Better, worse, the same, or different? There's no wrong answer.
I don't know what it's supposed to feel like, but I just know that in my heart, like there is a section that's like a dust that kind of settled, and I don't know what dust it was there before, but just something feels lighter.
Good.
Yeah.
So it feels lighter because we've let go of the crap that was in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the most common response I get is it feels lighter.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's very specific, like people that felt like there's a lot of responsibility. They said, I feel like the weight's been lifted off my shoulders. Right. So,
Right.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. It was so good. And but I love the fact that they people can actually see live what it looks like when you're giving a glimpse into it. But I'm so fortunate to get like this from Shiraz. That is amazing. Because can you imagine? I already know like this year is gonna be an amazing year for me, but to have you like tell me in a way that I gotta let go of these stories that I keep telling myself because I feel like I don't honor my grandfather if I did make a lot of money and if I became successful, like who are the people I'm leaving behind and what kind of like role model should I be? And I hate the expectation because I like to be free. I like to do whatever I feel like doing, and I don't really care about other people's opinion. But all of a sudden, like if you become like successful, I feel like, oh my God, I gotta be in the eye of the camera all the time, and I don't want to be part of that. Yes, I can be on stage. Yes, I can be very outspoken. Yes, I'm very entertaining as a person, and I do that very well, but I don't like to have an imposed expectation on me. So yeah, I didn't even like it was unconscious in my mind, but I never really thought that that's actually something that I worry about.
And that's where it sneaks up on you because you don't think about it consciously. It's just there under the surface,
Yeah.
controlling your life.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Shiraz, you are doing an amazing work and you have like a beautiful way of doing it where you get people to journey through the process with you and you make them understand like what are some of the things that they go through and you can see drastic changes quickly like in these type of session for sure. And one of the things that I realize is that having done coaching a lot with my clients and stuff like that, people
Mhm.
think like, I have to do all of these amazing healings and I'm not speaking anything bad of anything at all, but I just think that sometimes taking the person through the journey of just listening to their story and really getting the depth of their story and getting them to see the patterns and the things that are holding them stuck and allowing them to free and let go and rewrite a new story, which is what you're doing,
Yeah.
to rewrite their life story so that they can actually lead the life that makes them happy and fulfill and to be able to have the financial freedom that they want. Like, what more could you ask for?
You just have fun with it.
Yes, yes, exactly. And Shiraz, I want to be able to tell like people. So let's say if they want to reach out to you and they want to know more about what you do, like what kind of programs right now do you have going on that people can actually get a hands on and how they can reach you?
Right now, I have something called Monthly Magic,
Mm,
which is a general belief shifting program. So we meet the first and third Wednesdays of the month, and it's 2 hours of basically what you just saw. First, we share some wins, and then I go through the group, and people raise their hands, and we clear, clear, clear. And the
hmm.
wonderful thing is, when I cleared for one person in the group, all these other people in the group get cleared as well.
Yeah.
And people in the group are just reporting phenomenal results of better careers, better relationships, better health. And so that's my basic program. And for women that are ready for more business success, I've got Business Magic, which includes business training and a mastermind. And I've created these actual brain entrainment audios that program you for more money. And
Mm.
you get access to those too. And there's a whole bunch of other bonuses that come along with it. But that's the main thing is you're training and masterminding to create a way better business for yourself. And yeah, and then at the highest level is for women coaches that are already at that six-figure level. million-dollar impact makers, takes you from six figures to seven figures.
Love it. Love it. And can they reach to you? Like, is there a website or an email that they can contact you at?
Yep. So if you go to energeticmagic.com, then you'll see all of those programs are listed there. And my email is there as well. And there's actually a free event I do each month called Ignite Your Success. You'll find it right on the homepage. And you can come in and when I do that workshop, I pick four people from the audience to get coached right on the spot.
Oh, nice. Lucky. I love the fact that you call it magic because like my program is actually called the Magic of Love. So it's how funny and what
Yep.
a serendipity that this should all kind of pan itself out. I mean, fading in the dark here. It's like lighting is like completely
Yes,
off.
ma'am.
Dark has kind of settled in. But I want you to leave with the last word to the audience, Shiraz. What's the one quote or proverb that has served you well in your life that can actually leave an inspiration to the rest of the audience?
Don't be afraid to be the happiest person in the room.
Aw. I feel like you're speaking to me. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Yes.
for that, Shiraz.
You're
It
welcome.
was mostly extremely insightful, but there's so much in there, so much nugget of gold. And I know that the audience are actually going to really enjoy it, but they'll be able to transform themselves through the process of what we discussed, but also what you just give me as a gift. So thank you for that. I truly appreciate you deeply.
My pleasure. Thank you
Thank
for having
you.
me on your show. It's been an honor.
And I will support you in any way I can for my fellow Canadian. And the fact that you are just so just kind of like on to doing your own thing and making an impact in the world. I'm like, that's the kind of people I want to hang around with. So I'm so happy that we connected, Shiraz.
Me too.
On that note, guys, I want to wish you a fantastic day. Thank you so much to the wonderful Shiraz. So please reach out to him and contact him and attend the session. So take advantage of it. On a note, bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.